JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Before we get into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the news with someone today. Now onto the news. Ulterior businessman shot and injured at his birthday party. A prominent ulterior business owner was shot and injured at his birthday party on Saturday night. The businessman, Patrick Anthony Miller, owner of Sparkles Auto Parts store, was attacked by a lone gunman while at the venue of his birthday celebration at Christian Lounge in Ulterior, St. Anne. Reports of that Miller was standing close to a fence attached to the venue when the shooter climbed over and fired several shots, which caught Miller in the upper body. The gunman made his escape in a dark-colored motor car which went towards the Great Pond or Content Garden area. Miller was rushed to hospital where he has been admitted in serious condition. Police commissioner involved in car accident. Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake and his team members were involved in a motor vehicle collision on Sunday. The accident happened sometime after 11:25 a.m. in the vicinity of Dolphin Cove in Ulterior's St. Anne. According to reports, the driver of a Toyota Fielder motor car reportedly overtook a line of traffic and collided with the vehicle transporting the top cop. The commissioner was not hurt. However, his driver was taken to hospital for treatment. Family members arrested for murder of Portland man. A Portland man is dead after he was attacked by the family members of another man he had injured during an earlier altercation. Police have since arrested the family members in connection with the murder. The deceased man has been identified as Michael Sparborough, 27, a resident of West Norman Lane in Buff Bay, Portland. Police reports are that at about 1 p.m. Friday, an altercation occurred between Sparborough and another young man in Buff Bay. Sparborough allegedly left and returned with a machete, which he used to inflict a wound to the man's hand. While the injured man was reporting the incident at the police station, it is alleged that three of his family members went in pursuit of Sparborough. While the injured man was reporting the incident at the police station, it is alleged that three of his family members went in pursuit of Sparborough, who they attacked with stones and a baseball bat. He was rushed to hospital where he succumbed to his wounds. The Buff Bay police detained the three family members implicated in the incident. Dopey maker charged with pastor's murder. A construction worker has been charged in relation to the January 18 murder of a 41-year-old pastor. Police say Lamar Myers, 27, otherwise called Dopey Maker, of Burke Road in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, was dealt for the killing of Michael Spencer of Dolphin Terrace, Old Harbour Glades in the parish. Spencer was killed along West Street, also in Old Harbour. Reports from the Old Harbour police were that at about 8 p.m., Spencer was at his stall in the area when Myers approached them. He allegedly brandished a gun and opened gunfire, hitting the pastor in the head and upper body before escaping on foot in the area. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, the injured man was assisted to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. An investigation was launched into the murder, and the Myers was listed as wanted. 2 days later, he turned himself in. Myers has been charged with murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, and using a prohibited weapon to commit a felony. He was charged following a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being finalized. Slain veteran journalist Barbara Gayle remembered as someone who impacted many lives. Slain veteran journalist Barbara Gayle was today remembered as a loving, jovial, and supportive person who impacted many lives. Gayle's Thanksgiving was held today at the Kencourt Seventh-day Adventist Church in St. Andrew. The service was filled with family, current and former journalists, as well as prominent members of society. There were several tributes from family and friends who all recounted her warm spirit. In delivering her tribute, Director of Public Prosecutions Paul Llewellyn says the prosecution of the man charged with the brutal murder of Gayle will be handled fairly.
I spoke when you had her at your anniversary party. I spoke to her on the Sunday, December the 15th. I had missed her call on the Friday. And of course, you and I know you don't call her on her Sabbath. And I didn't go to my church this Sunday morning. And I called her. And we sat on the phone for about half an hour. We don't usually talk that long. And we talked about everything under the sun. When I came off the phone, I felt as if she had given me a gift. I felt so good. So can you imagine when my colleague, Mr. Peter Champagne, called me, I believe it was Tuesday morning, to tell me what had happened. I couldn't believe it. I was driving on the road. I nearly crashed. I was driving. I had to pull over I couldn't believe it. And then I remember some of the things she would tell me. Because fortunately or unfortunately, I remain the director of public prosecutions, and it will be my indictment that will pilot the process throughout the administration of justice that she loved. And I can hear her saying to me, Paula, I know that you will be fair. And in honor of Barbara, all of the resources, our acumen, our legal skills will be put to make sure that justice is done. But part of our DNA will be that we will be fair.
55-year-old St. Catherine father gets 18 years in prison for incest. Her father who sexually molested his teen daughter was on Friday sentenced to 18 years in prison in the St. Catherine Circuit Court and was ordered to register as a sexual offender. The 55-year-old man pleaded guilty to 2 counts of grievous sexual assault and to 2 counts of incest. He was sentenced to 18 years imprisonment on each count of grievous sexual assault and to 7 years and 8 months on each count of incest. The sentences are to run concurrently. He will be eligible to apply for parole after serving 10 years. The court heard that the father sexually assaulted his daughter, who was 14 at the time of the incidents. A report was made to the police's Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, which resulted in charges being preferred against him. He made numerous court appearances until he pleaded guilty. Attorney at Law Commissioner Harrison represented him. Former church choir director sentenced to 6 years for sex with a minor. A former church choir director who pleaded guilty to having sexual intercourse with a teen girl, whom he was entrusted to take to choir practice, was sentenced to 6 years and 2 months in prison in the St. Catherine Circuit Court on Friday. In handing down sentence, Justice Yvonne Brown bemoaned the high level of sexual offences in the parish. Brown stated he betrayed her trust and that his action had stained the victim. Facts are the man, who was a family friend of the victim, was to take the minor to choir practice, but he instead diverted to his home where he had sex with her, after which they went to church. The crime was revealed and a report was made to the police's Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse. He was arrested and subsequently charged with having sexual intercourse with a person under 16 years old. He took a guilty plea last year and was remanded until his sentencing on Friday. Labour Minister takes issue with report highlighting abuse of migrant workers in Canada. Minister of Labour Pernell Charles Jr. has taken issue with aspects of the Amnesty International study that reveals that migrant workers in Canada, which include Jamaicans, have experienced human rights violations. The new report says farm workers also experience multiple instances of exploitation and hazardous working conditions. The research, conducted between February 2023 and June 2024 with 44 migrant workers from 14 countries, revealed that such abuses are widespread in the Temporary Foreign Workers Program, which annually includes thousands of Jamaican workers. The report said a Canadian employee involved in Jamaica's Seasonal Agriculture Workers Program reportedly used racial slurs to intimidate workers, including threatening to send Jamaican employees back to the trees where you come from. Noting his concern, Charles said only 6 Jamaicans were interviewed to form the sample used as the primary basis for the output of the report.
I don't even know if the 6 persons are active, inactive. When last they've been on the program, they could be speaking about issues from 2022, from 2006. We don't know. What we do know is that Jamaica has taken several steps to ensure that the program is enhanced and stronger. We have increased the number of liaison offices. We have increased the number of liaison officers. We have increased the number of visits that we have to farms. And all of this has led to positive output, an uptick in the request for Jamaican workers, and a decline in the complaints from Jamaican workers and from the employers. But we should not readily accept and introduce into the narrative around our farm work program any unjustified, unbalanced assessment. And, to me, it just appears that some of these reports are so glaringly unbalanced that we have to question the veracity of it.
A Jamaican worker who traveled to Canada on the program provided Amnesty International with photos showing filthy, stained toilets and food cabinets infested with cockroaches, as well as sticky traps filled with dead insects. PM responds to concerns about social housing program. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has responded to concerns surrounding delays in the delivery of housing units under the government's new social housing program. Holness says the delays are due to the inability of the contractor to complete the project according to schedule. His response comes after two unfinished structures expected to provide relief to separate families in central Kingston were featured in a story published by The Gleaner.
A critical point to note is that the new social housing program does not provide land. We expect that the beneficiary will provide the land on which the unit will be constructed. But before we can build on the land, we have to ensure that the beneficiary has some rights to the land, either through title of ownership or through some permission to use, certainly by a lease, for example. After which, once the beneficiary is accepted as being deserving of a unit, then we go to the contracting process. And this is very important because there is the assumption that somehow it is the government that actually builds the house. And that is quite far from the fact. The truth is the government relies on contractors, and there is a well-established process by which the government engages a contractor. It is not that the government just closes its eyes and picks a contractor. The government has what is called the procurement process. That's a well-established process in law which explains and sets out all the steps that the government must go through. The fundamental principle of procurement is that it must be competitive and transparent. So every unit that is being built, a tender is put out, meaning we put to the public what it is that we want to construct, and members of the public who are contractors can bid on it. They say, well, I will build for X price, or another will say, I will build for X minus 10, or whatever price they come in. And the best price, the best assessed contractor is usually the one who gets the contract to build. The challenge, of course, is that between procurement and the delivery of the unit, the completion of the unit, there are sometimes delays. And these delays can stem from issues having to do with the location and the land itself. So, for example, where we are in this lovely community, this would be considered a challenging location. It is on a fairly steep slope. It is largely inaccessible, and quite a bit of work would have to be done to cut and fill, reinforce. Then there is very limited space for material storage. And all of these can cause the construction process to be delayed. And indeed, for some contractors, it is probably even overwhelming. In this unit where we are, we have had to terminate 2 contracts. So it is the 3rd contractor that would have completed this unit. But aside from that, there are other issues which affect the speed at which contractors can actually complete their jobs. For example, security issues, violence in a community, theft of material, labor disputes. And those are issues which oftentimes affect the contractor. Sometimes the contractors are unable to complete the job, they abandon the job, and we have to find new contractors. We have taken note of cases that have been highlighted in our newspapers, 2 cases, where persons in providing the land would have demolished their existing dwellings to facilitate the construction of new dwellings. The government would have engaged contractors, but for varying reasons, including security, including theft of materials, the contractors were unable to complete the units in the time specified. In the instant cases, the contractors would have asked for extension of time, and the ministry considered it prudent to give the extension of time because the ministry has to balance between the process of getting new contractors, which means going through a new procurement process and trying to get the existing contractor to complete. even with the extension of time, the existing contractors were not able to deliver the houses in a timely fashion. So we had to terminate those contracts. That termination took place in December, and we now have new contractors on board. Work is ongoing to complete those units, and we expect that those units will be completed by the end of February. We are very sympathetic to the inconvenience and disruption to the lives and livelihoods of those beneficiaries who have been waiting patiently on their units. But please bear in mind, the government did not set out to not have your houses completed. These are just some of the exigencies of contracting. What we have done, however, in the new social housing program is to explore new innovative solutions that can be easily deployed, which would prevent much of the challenges that we face. So we are looking at pre-constructed building solutions. We are looking at using form systems and pour in place concrete form systems that will eliminate the need for material storage and reduce the length of time that it takes for construction. But there will always be this challenge of contractors not being able to complete the projects in a timely fashion. So we ask for the understanding of the public, we ask for the patience of the beneficiaries. Bear in mind, we are now over 300 units, and so far only 2 units have made to the point of complaints about delays. So the project is moving very well, and we will continue to press along and deliver to beneficiaries right across Jamaica who are deserving of this benefit.
JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.